My name is Jordan Jones and I welcome you to the channel. This video today is just going to be basically behind the scenes of what we basically do on a day-to-day basis. We're going to be going around a couple of properties today, showing you where they're up to, showing you the problems that we've had with them, things that have gone well, things that haven't gone so well, and yeah, just an insight behind what we actually have going on at the moment. And today we're going to try and get around 5 properties if we can. They're all at different stages. Some are my own investments, some are for clients of mine or investors of mine. So they've obviously invested into deals. We will source, project manage, help with the refinancing side of things, and then let their property out. Obviously, we'll also handle the let-in side of things too, because we've got single let side of things and also the Airbnb side of things. A lot of the clients that we typically work with run with the buy, refurbish, refinance to an Airbnb. Now, that's what we kind of specialize in most, but again, all depends on what the investor needs or the investor wants out of property. So yeah, come along and I look forward to showing you behind the scenes. This first property that we're going to now has been in the pipeline for over 6 months. We had an offer accepted early January. Obviously we're in now July, so 7 months. Completed around a week and a half ago on it. There was some issues with the title on the property, so they lost the title deeds basically. So we had to find them and I had to do all their behind the scenes stuff. Now we managed to complete on the property. The only issue that we've got now is that when we obviously sourced the deal and we quoted for the renovation, on the price of what it would be typically 6 or 7 months ago. Since then, we've had a lot of stuff happen within the world. We've had wars and X, Y, and Z. The prices have gone up, but obviously now, being in a position that we are, where we're not going to charge anymore. We've just got to go with what we quoted for. So this project is going to make us less amount of money, I would say, on the construction side of things. But because it's a repeat customer of ours, an investor that's invested I think this is his 3rd deal. He's invested in a few deals with us. We obviously want to make sure that we look after our loyal customers, and obviously for someone like myself, we want to work with typically a lower amount of investors because we want to work with higher quality people. So yeah, this property that we're going to look at now, probably one of the worst that has been on this channel so far, I would say, not in terms of size, because it's not that bad in terms of size. It's quite a small property, but in terms of work that needs to be done there, yeah, there's quite a lot. So we are going to head inside now. I'm going to take you inside and show you what's happening in here. So we got shared access beer with obviously the next door neighbour. It's going to be a bit of a task for you to get in, bear in mind. I think the door actually got smashed in here as well. That's why they've got this fucking crazy door on it. Oh, some cobwebs as well. This is the property. This is obviously going to be the main living room. Kitchen going behind, and then there's some terrible extension type thing that's going to be ripped down. But yeah, just have a little look at the mess in here, guys. It's been empty for around, I want to say around 2.5 years now. The smell's not great, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done in here. So everything in here is basically just going to be hit back to brick, and we'll rebuild from there. The investor bought this property for £50,000. The renovation has come in around £50,000 as well. The end value on this property is around £125,000. So they are going to be refinancing and running it as a single let. So investor just wants a hands-off investment. They have £140,000. Typically with an investor of £140,000, we would look at buying something either with a bridge or something like this, which is a little bit smaller, where they can recycle their money through. So yeah, I'm just gonna take you into here now and show you around. So it's a little bit darker in here. Again, there's no kitchen in here at the moment. There's going to be a kitchen put in here. When you come outside, this is where the actual kitchen was. So yeah, built on some terrible foundations. They've even got wallpaper on the outside of the house. So you've got the render, and they've wallpapered over it. So yeah, all of this is going to come down. The garden's huge, full of overgrown weeds and grass. So again, full new heating system, complete rewire, all new windows, new front door, new back door, kitchen, flooring, plastering, everything, new door frames, new everything. So this property has to go back to brick because there's just no way of salvaging it. So we got a small bathroom in here, a bit of a mess. We'd have to get quite creative in here actually, because there's currently no sink in here. So we'll get creative in here. Maybe a case of having to pinch some of this room for more space, because again, this room's not huge, but it's a tidy size for 2-bedroom single-let property. This is basically what we're working with. This project is going to start. What the fuck is that? This is obviously the 2nd bedroom, much better size in here. And yeah, again, all going to be ripped out, new everything. And this project's actually going to start, I think it's starting on the 9th of August. So we've got a meeting with the investor. The investor's going to come down. They haven't viewed the property yet themselves. Obviously, they've gone off the back of what we've said. So yeah, this one's going to be a good one, and we're looking forward to getting it moving. So we're now going to move on to another property that I haven't actually showed YouTube yet, so stay tuned. That client that I just spoke about now, who's done a few deals with us, he got involved in property because he had around £150,000 worth of equity in his home. So over time, he's done extremely well. He's working, I think he works in a factory of some sort. Can't remember too much about it, but he bought the property 7 or 8 years ago, done a bit of work to the property, didn't do anything with it, but then realized after, well, around 18 months ago, that he had built the equity within his home. So I really, and this is one call that really stuck out to me when I first started talking with him, and he had £150,000 worth of equity in his home. And his question to me was, well, my monthly payments are going to go up my mortgage. I don't want to put myself or my family at more risk. Why should I invest in property, or why should I pull this money out? And my question or answer to him was, you've got that money within your property now. If you don't use that equity to start building something alongside your job, how much longer have you got until you get to that retirement age and you're going to be just relying on a pension? And he came back and he said, well, you know, I've got 5 years until I'm at retirement age. It's a bit of a do or die moment for me, really. So yeah, look, when you are going to come around to remortgaging your house, your monthly payments are going to go up. One way that we like to talk with clients and mitigate that issue is that, look, if you're going to pull £150,000 off your property, but that's going to cost you an extra, say, £7,000 a year because your mortgage payments have gone up, then you could just put £7,000 aside for that first year. So you've got 150k, you put 7k aside, so that's £143,000 that you now have to start investing and start building a portfolio. So everyone talks about having the monthly payments going up, and you know, I'm not going to be able to afford it. I'm in a bit of a position now where it's hard for me to pay the mortgage as it is. You can just use some of that equity to go towards it for the first year, get a property or two within that first year. That money from, or the rent that you have from that property, whether you run it as a single let, whether you run it as an Airbnb, a HMO, you're going to be bringing in income, so that can basically substitute what your monthly income, your monthly payments going up are. So after your first or second deal, you're then quids in, because you're going to start making more money on top of what you've basically started with. So, you know, getting into property can be difficult, and I wouldn't expect someone to come and just pull 250, 300,000 pound off their house without having a clear structure and clear plan behind what they were going to do with it, because there's no point in you just pulling money out of that property for the sake of it. You want to pull it out with a clear plan, with, you know, exactly how you're going to go and deploy that cash, and then, you know, you can start building something alongside your job. This, for me and for everyone that I work with, I lose a lot of clients. I lose a lot of people that I initially start to talk with, because we're really transparent in the way that we go forward with things. And, you know, people come to me and say, look, I want to go, I've got £100,000 and I want to go and do 5 properties in the first year. That's typically not going to work, especially if you've got no experience. So, you know, we could just go along and say, yeah, you know, you can do 5 and just start working with clients, but we want to really build out what the next 5 years is going to look like for a client. So when they are remortgaging their home, they understand exactly what's going to happen and where the money's going to be going, and what sort of appreciation they're going to get on the properties over the 5 years, and also the income alongside that. Because property is obviously you know, for me, the best investment that you can make, apart from investing in yourself, because over a 10, 15, 20-year period, you're going to do extremely well. You're going to have the capital appreciation without you doing anything. But we also want to make sure that we can bring some income in for now, because although building something for the future is really important and for generations behind you, but you also want to enjoy some of that money now too. So having a structured plan behind what you're going to do, how you're going to deploy it, where it's going to take you, and what sort of portfolio you can build off the back of your equity is really important. And that's what we have really nailed down in terms of specializing in just that now. If you come to me and you want to work with, you know, you want to do rent to rent, or even now deal sourcing, you know, I would prefer to, well, our clients have said it themselves, they want to understand them strategies, but they also want to build a portfolio. So for us, this is all about implementation and actually building a portfolio, rather than just learning about all the different strategies. Especially if you're a little bit later on in life, there's no point in you going and, you know, spending £15,000 on education just to learn. We need to get you to a point where you're in a position where you're building a portfolio now. We want you to be able to put your money into something within the next month, so that you're starting to generate income and generate a portfolio. There's no point in, you know, I don't want to say wasting a lot of money, but if you are a little bit later on, you know, you want to be straight into implementation. Learn about it for a couple of weeks, month, and then you're going to learn when you are basically doing it. There's always a risk element behind investing in yourself, investing in property, investing in anything. But I think one thing that we spoke about on that call, the initial call with him, was, you know, what's going to be riskier for you? Is it to continue on the path that you're on, or have a clear structured plan to what you can do with your equity to build something great? And the answer for him was, it was riskier for him to stay where he was, just continuing on that path with that job. So, you know, that's something that we always talk about with our clients, and we really want to build something long term for them. So we're around 2 minutes from our second property now, guys. Another client of ours who is an offshore crane mechanic, James. Wow, what an amazing investor he is, by the way. He's been incredible for us. This property that we've taken on here now has come with some, you know, terrible pitfalls, some things that we had to pull the front of the house down, basically. Now, we didn't expect to have to pull the full property down, but spoke to the structural engineer, building inspector, and because the property wasn't built on the right foundations, that meant that we had to build a new wall, basically. We had to have a temporary wall built, so we had to have concrete pour and build a temporary wall to hold the joists and the trusses for the roof. Now we've rebuilt the front of the property in breeze block. Now we're in a position where we're starting to render the property. We actually did have it rendered and, well, plastered and rendered, but Cameron, my business partner, wasn't happy with the finish. So that's coming off and it's going back on now in the next couple of days, I believe. But we're basically back to a position now where we've started first fixing. Some rooms are plastered. It's a little bit jittery in there because of the front wall. We haven't been able to do, be in such smooth process as what we would usually have. But now, we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're hoping that once we have this front wall finished, we can get the windows in, we can get it all plastered. It is plasterboarded now. And yeah, we can basically get it rented out. So we're about 2 minutes away, and I'll see you in there. This is the house down here, guys. This was actually purchased for £58,000. I think the renovation has come in around £63,000. The end value up here is going to be around £145,000 to £150,000. £150,000 is where I think it will be at. But yeah, that's just going to remortgage this property and run it as a single-let. Great area to rent as a single-let. Great, close to amenities, schools, shops. Real good for growth around here as well. Going to be a solid asset. All going to be signed off with the building inspector the right way. But yeah, basically got the front door in now. Just got some windows to go in. Like I said, we did have render on there. It's been first coated or with the render, but we did dash it, but that's come off. We basically had to pull the full house down, front of the house down. Now we had to have our concrete slab. We had to have breeze block, 100 or 150 mil air gap, 100 mil insulation, 50 mil air gap, breeze block again. That's what we then built. Yeah, the boys done extremely well on this project. I personally haven't been involved too much in the construction side of things, but it's been an amazing job, something that we hadn't really anticipated. And probably we've done 6-bedroom HMOs, we've done a few of them now, but I think this has really thrown been bigger of a challenge for us because it's something that we haven't had to do. And also we've got 2 neighbours aside as well, where their houses are also really important. So we've done our best with them guys too. And yeah, just gonna take you inside and show you around now. We've had all new windows done on the back here. So we've got one there, one there, one. Well, all the back windows have been changed. We did have a 15-foot tree at the back which has been chopped down. Just going to take you inside now. This is a 3-bedroom 1-bathroom house, and yeah, I'll show you where we're up to. This is the kitchen. Again, like I said, this property is really bitty at the moment, so we've done some bits, done what we can to really push it on, but that front wall has been a bit of an issue. So now that is near enough done. It's just about getting this inside done now. So this room is plastered. We've got a boiler to go on there. We've got the bathroom at the back of the property. But as we come through into here then, we've got, I would say, a dining area in here. So this will be the dining area. We've got a living space that will be there then. This room's plastered. In here, we've just got plasterboarding, and obviously we've gritted the walls that need plastering. But I wish that I documented this job more, because if you had seen what it was like 4 or 5 weeks ago, it looks completely different to where it is now. And I'm going to be showing you a lot more as we're going along. So as we come through, it does get a bit dark here. So as we come up here, so this has been backfilled now, but this is basically, we had to dig this all the way along the property to actually build the old frame, the temporary wall even. A bedroom in here, so nice size, all plastered, ready for second fixing now. Good. Then we've got good size bedroom as well. When you're going to be renting a property out, of course it's really important that you are thinking about the tenant, but for instance in this case we couldn't really get a bathroom upstairs because there wasn't enough size, so we would rather have a bedroom rather than a bathroom, because you can obviously rent it to more people then. But one way that we always typically try to add value is to add an upstairs bathroom if we can, or add an ensuite. So again, this property is now ready for second fixing, so a radiator to go on there, and the electric sockets to go on there, and just painting. And then if we go into the front room here, this is the third bedroom, guys. Obviously we've got the we fitted the windows here, but we've still got the outside covers over them. But again, this is a great size bedroom. There's a walk-in wardrobe that's going to be made down there as well. So this is kind of the master bedroom of the three. And yeah, great size. So this property now is probably around 4 weeks away, I would say, from completion. There's a few things that need to be done outside. Obviously the plastering here needs to be done. And then, you know, once we get to a stage where everything's plastered, things start to progress a lot faster. Then you do your mist coat, and then we'll be into obviously fitting the second stuff. So, well, the kitchen, the bathroom, etc. This has been a great project. One that's really tested us, but you know, we're coming out the other side now, and looking forward to getting it done, getting a remortgage for the investor, and then, you know, helping them continuing to grow their portfolio. So yeah, it's a good one. From here, we are potentially going to go to my 6-bedroom all onto a HMO, which I have been running as an Airbnb instead of a HMO. The reasoning for that is because I have obviously my own management company, so it suits me a little bit better just to manage things myself. So that property has currently been renting out for the last 3 months for £3,000. My outgoings on that property are around £1,300 with my mortgage, my bills, my council tax, and a cleaning fee, so I have 1 clean a month there. So that property alone is bringing in around £1,700 a month. So, you know, how many of them do you actually need to leave your job? If you can have one property that brings you in an extra £800 to £1,200, £1,500 a month, how many of them do you need to actually get to a position where you're starting to feel comfortable with maybe leaving your job or building this alongside your job? So we'll head out of this property now, and I will take you over to one of our other properties. So see you there. For loads of clients, like, getting into property is something that they're looking to do alongside their job. They're not typically looking, or a lot of the investors that I work with, they're not looking to, you know, replace their job within the next year. So they're really looking to focus on longer term stuff. So, you know, in the grand scheme of things, do you need to be looking at like rent to rent? Maybe not. But I think narrowing down what the client really needs is most important. So for some people, leaving their job may be the reason why they need to do it. So, you know, flipping could be an option for them then. So they buy a property, run down, add value, and sell it for a profit. If they're earning anything from £20,000 to £30,000 a year, but you have the equity to use to go and buy a property, then you could typically use that cash and make more than £20,000 to £30,000 on a renovation on a property to sell. So that could replace your income. Now, maybe for the first year you could do that alongside. So like, there's so many different ways. Or you could look at building a portfolio and build the income using typically, you know, Airbnb. So like, I think the biggest thing that's stopping people is knowing what to go and do, and obviously having a plan, but also social media, because there's so many different strategies out there now. You don't really know what one's going to suit them best. A lot of people that I speak to have been wanting to do this for the last 10-15 years, but you know, time always gets in the way. Things always go wrong. So like, I think if you're in a position where, you know, you're really busy at the moment and you've got loads of things going on, and you think that you're going to put it, you know, you're going to get involved in the next 6-12 months, you know, I would advise to start learning now and start to get your foot in the door now, because if you can do this whilst you're busy, when you're not so busy, then you're going to be in an even better spot, because you're going to know exactly what you need to go and do. So I think them points are probably, you know, mainly the biggest reasons why people are not investing right now. This property is now done. We had the valuation done last week. Now in a position where it's going through the refinancing process. Like I said, she's recycled the vast majority of her money back out of this deal, ready to go into the next one. So yeah, in here, it didn't need massive amounts of work. There's a bit of an issue outside with, well, where we had to repoint some of the stonework because the cement had come away. So we had the scaffolding up around the side, hence why there's still a lot of mess at the back. we couldn't get the mess around. But that's being done this week. And then the only thing left to do in here is basically to complete the back garden with some stonework. And then, yeah, it's going to be ready to get on the market. There's some little bits that we need to finish off in the bathroom as well. But it's a solid property. Mostly just decoration in this property, new kitchen, and some damp issues that we sorted out. But apart from that, new flooring, redecoration, some second fix stuff that we wanted to also add in terms of sockets and stuff like that. But it's a deceiving property, goes really far back. But this was something that I was actually going to buy myself, because I could see the value in adding the value for the purchase price. The renovation wasn't huge, and the end values in this area are really, really strong, and it's going to rent extremely well. But one of my investors ended up snapping it up instead. So yeah, I'm just going to take you around now, and we can, you can see the finished product. So this is just the living room in here. A lovely sized living room, to be honest. We were surprised when I first viewed this property. You've got this reception room or living space, you've got the kitchen, and you've also got a dining area at the back. I didn't expect it to be so big. The double extension has basically only recently been redone as well, which is awesome, or replastered, sorry. The people that sold this property were in a position where they bought this property around 2 years ago, and I think they had some difficulty together, meaning that they parted ways, but they were in a position where they just wanted to get rid of the property. So I think 2 years ago they gave around 95,000 for it. We bought it for 97,000, so obviously over a 2 year period. Obviously there's a bit of work that needed to be spent here as well, but we had it for a real good price. Now, like I said, in this area, 160 to 175,000 pound end values are pretty normal for a semi-detached property. So a big thing when you are looking at properties or looking to view properties and build relationships with estate agents, is understanding what's the seller situation. How motivated are they to actually get rid of the property? Because if you were to go and offer on a property set for £100,000 and you offer £100,000 and then the agent turns around and says, oh, they're desperate to sell it, they probably would have sold it for like 85. But you've already offered £100,000, then you may have missed out on £10,000, £15,000 worth of equity at the start. So before you get into any sort of deal, when you're in discussions with the estate agent, you need to understand the situation. How motivated are they? Is the property probate? Has someone passed that property down to them? Because, or have they lived there for 15, 20 years? Because if they have lived there for 15, 20 years, they may be in a position where they're emotionally attached to the property, meaning that they may not want to take less for it. They want to try and get the most amount of money for it because they've got just such fond memories there. So understanding the seller's situation is the first thing that I will do with an agent, or if I'm speaking to someone direct, I'll understand what their motivation is, and also how we can help them, because property is a people's game. The investors that I work with, the agents that I work with, everything is done based on relationships within property, I have found personally. So you may be different, but yeah, I think that's really, really important is understanding the seller situation and trying to solve problems for them too. Because, at the end of the day, even though they bought this for 95 and sold it for 97, we've still solved an issue for them because no one else is willing to pay that money. So yeah, that's a really big thing. I'm just going to take you through here now, guys. Like I said, we've redecorated everything in here. There wasn't any structural stuff that needed to be done in here, which is obviously really good. We've actually started buying our kitchens from Benchmark. Now, we used to buy all of our kitchens from Howdens, but yeah, we've just found that, the Benchmark finish has been really good. And also, they're really on it when it comes down to, I don't really fit the kitchens myself, but Cameron and the boys have mentioned that, when Benchmark bring a delivery here, typically everything's there, they're not missing things. So that's really important as well for them to make sure that if they've booked out a day or two to fit the kitchen, that they can fit it and everything can be, you know, on point. So we've been spending a lot of time and money with Benchmark instead of Howdens. We still get all the main stuff, doors, architraves, skirting boards and stuff from Howdens, but kitchens we've been more specialised in and using Benchmark. So this is the kitchen. We had to run a 6mm earth for the electrics, for the electric hob and the oven. There was gas in here previously, but I think just having electric's a lot, you know, more modern these days and just suits a lot better. So yeah, new flooring, new kitchen, and then when you come in here, we've got a dining area as well. So like I mentioned, this property goes really far back, real good space in here. We expect this to rent for around £900 a month. So yeah, really, really solid property. I think the mortgage is going to be around £440 a month. So there's a good margin in there for, you know, to run it as a single let. Now, whether we run it as an Airbnb or not, that's obviously more down to the investor, but we've based it off single let figures because I think that's what she's going to prefer. We've also added a new boiler in here, just as first as last, because the old boiler that was in here was around 7 or 8 years old. We just wanted to have a new boiler in there and make sure that, you know, that's going to last us a good 10-15 years now. So that's good. Moving from here, we'll now move upstairs. This is one bedroom. The head height is a bit of an issue, not an issue in here, but you know, you would think that the children will be in this room when it gets rented out. We went for a different sort of colour on the walls here. Typically I love white, but as you can probably tell, the skirting boards look quite yellow, but they are actually white. They're gloss white, and this is like an offset summer something, I don't know what it was. But yeah, it's come out really well, and the reason why the investor wanted to have a different colour was just because this is going to last a little bit longer than what, you know, normal white would typically. So this is bedroom 1, and then we've got bedroom 2 in here as well. Another great size bedroom. You know, again, just a solid size. We've added new doors and stuff as well within this property. So yeah, and then we've got the final bedroom in here. We did have some issues, not issues, but slight issues in this property with, like I mentioned, the repointing, because there was a couple of stones missing. Water was blowing in, so it was causing, you know, some damp in here. So we ended up obviously replacing the stone and repointing it, hacking these 2 walls off, and then we obviously damp-proofed them and redone them. So this is the property, and a solid asset now for our client. She's looking to really scale this up now. So this is the first property with us. She had a good experience, so now we're looking to really grow. We've got the bathroom in here as well. We've got some bits to do in here left. This bath panel is getting changed, and there's also some bits to do with the tiling. But yeah, again, this bathroom didn't need a massive amount of work, because of, you know, we've obviously had a new toilet, a new basin, new shower screen and shower head. This is getting changed. But yeah, it was solid. It was no need to spend any more money here. So this is, again, I'll probably sign this property off again. So this is this property, and we will see you on the next one. I don't like going to these big corporations like Starbucks and Costa. Usually I have a coffee from a local coffee shop every day, right? And the reasoning behind that is, like, when you go and pay a massive corporation like that, you're just a fucking number in the cog. Like, they don't really care. You don't have no relationship with them, and the coffee is not even amazing, right? The coffee shop that I typically go to in Swansea and Crafty, coffee's class, price is so much cheaper. For 2 drinks now, we just paid like £9.30. If we went there, it would be like £5. And that's the exact same thing with what's happening with people that are getting started in property. Now, they're going and paying massive corporations £15,000 just to learn how to go and do this, when they're not actually getting a personal touch and actually getting what they deserve or what they've paid for. Because if you go and work with a smaller company that is going to help you, for instance, buy your first property, for instance, you can pay a fraction of what £15,000 is, but you're going to get a much more hands-on experience, a much more reliable service because you're working with someone one-to-one, but also a much more affordable service. So, you know, why do you need to go and pay the big corporations when you can just pay a smaller company? So the property that I bought, added value to, and sold has fallen through. So this is something that can be quite common when you are looking to buy and sell properties. Obviously you're relying on, you know, external people to actually come in and buy the property. Now what's happened is the lady that was buying my property, she was in a chain, meaning that someone had to buy her property so that she could then buy my property, and that's fallen through. So the property is still on the market now, but I've also put things in process now. So I've got a valuation going on there tomorrow to remortgage the property. So before, you know, I got into that deal, and before I advise anyone to get into any sort of deals, we understand best, worst, and likely case of what's going to happen when you get into that deal. So the property is falling through. You know, the property is going to stay on the market. Does that mean that, you know, I start shitting myself and worrying now, oh, I can't sell the property? No. Like I said, we've just put in for a remortgage, so we're going to get figures for that too. There's no massive rush behind trying to make it sell or trying to get the remortgage done, but I want to get figures done for the remortgage now too, because if we get to a point in the next 4 to 5 weeks where we haven't got any other offers or anyone else is interested, then we'll just remortgage the property. We'll fill out all the paperwork now. So for that, if we do need to release that cash and have it as a remortgage, we'll do that. But then what we would typically do then was, the property's in a real good area for Airbnb, so the property then will be an Airbnb that I will run myself. So there's always something that, well, these are always things that you need to look at before you get into any sort of deal, because sometimes you may not get your desired outcome of obviously selling the property. Now I could put the price down and sell the property maybe for a 25 or 30,000 pound profit instead of a 45,000, but rightly or wrongly, I always think long term. Now obviously the property that we're going to now, I'm going to sell like for definite, but that property down there I know will pay me extremely well as an Airbnb over the next 5, 10, 15 years, but also it's in a really desirable area, so I'm going to be getting paid twice anyway instead of just being paid for the flip, because I'll have the capital appreciation and I'll also have the rental income coming from the property. So whereas the property we're going to now, just going to get paid once, and that's on the sale. But having exit strategies in mind and never being too attached to a property is so important, because if I was emotionally attached to this property now, where I was like, oh, I need to sell it for X, I need to sell it for Y, and I was putting pressure on it, then, you know, it may not happen anytime. So understanding the market as well, you know, is now a good time to buy and sell or not? But yeah, having the exit strategies is so key. We are at painting stage in here now. The last thing that is needed is basically a clear out and flooring. So flooring is actually going in tomorrow. By the end of next week, we should probably be around a couple of days from finishing this project. But it's been a great project. It's gone pretty well. We've had some ups and downs, but the vast majority has been extremely good. So again, figures on this one, I think I've posted a video on this property before, but bought it for 115, with fees up to around 122, spent around 60 to 65,000 pound on the renovation, and going to be selling it for, you know, a minimum of 240, touch wood. So good amount of profit in this deal, and yeah, looking forward to getting it done. We've actually got, obviously the first property that we've seen today is going to be starting in August, in a couple of weeks. We've got 2 more properties that are going through legals, which are around a week or so from finishing as well. And yeah, we've got a couple of other offers that I've had accepted too. So there's going to be a lot more projects coming online now with us. So it'd be nice to get this batch of deals out the way so that we can then focus on the new ones. So yeah, gonna take you around here now and show you the progress. So again, in this property, we went, you know, completely back to brick. Need a lot of work. There was non-structural wall in here, sorry, that we knocked down. There's a bathroom in here, which is now the new dining area, but new woodwork throughout. The painter is coming back once the flooring's down to give it a last coat, and you know, last coatings on all the woodwork and stuff like that. But yeah, really happy with the progress here. And yeah, we're not far away at all. In here, we replaced all the floorboards. First and second fixed everything. New heating system, new rads, new electrics, TV on the wall there as well. But a nice little space. And into this area then, like I mentioned, we need to have a tidy up in here. But if you look, check this out. This is a nice little, it's not quartz, but it's a lovely worktop. In the kitchen, we've got dishwasher, fridge, freezer, and obviously oven, hob, sink. We've got a utility room, which I'm going to be showing you shortly. We've still got a breakfast bar to go along here. We've got a new boiler in the corner there, and we've also done some work outside. So I'm just going to take you downstairs now. We did have a big issue in this property. So when we came to view it, this property was soaking, really wet. There was a lot of damp here. Right on the roof of the property, when we got up there, obviously we had scaffolding around the property throughout because there was a couple of issues with the roof up the top. Now, when we actually looked deeper, it was a case where the roof was running, and instead of the water running into a gutter, it was coming, well, not into the gutter at all, meaning that water could basically just drip down the cavity. So all this wall from upstairs all the way down to the basement was soaking wet, but obviously we've mitigated that issue now, and obviously everything's been rectified. So, you know, that's why the walls in here had to be hit back, well, they were hit back to brick. So that we could, you know, make sure that we saw what was going on. But we actually found out that it was right to the top of the property, which was causing all this damage. So that's also part of the reason why I've got this property at such a good price, because there was a lot of work to actually be done here. Yeah, so obviously contacts as well. Estate agent that actually sold me this deal is a real good friend of mine, and, you know, brings me a lot of stuff. We do a lot of business together, and he's a great guy. If he's watching this, you know who you are. But yeah, he's been excellent for myself and for clients, and someone that I want to really continuing to use over the next 10, 15, 20 years. So yeah, that's great. Just going to take it down into the basement now, guys. Hit everything in here back to brick. We had some rising damp issues, so they've all been rectified now. But down here, we've got a sink, we've got space for a washer dryer or a washing machine and a tumble dryer. We've also made toilet and stuff in there, but this is just an area where if they want to go outside or they want to use the back garden, they can come inside and use the toilet, fine. But again, in here as well, storage, really important. When you're renovating a property, how can you add storage to a property to make sure that, you know, you have places just to throw some stuff like hoovers, mops, or cleaning material or whatever. But these are the things that you need to be thinking of when you are renovating a property. How can you add the most amount of value for, you know, typically the least amount of money? So we've got the utility room in here, which is obviously really good. And then we've got a toilet and basin in there too. We have to put a new window on there because it's smashed when we're doing the rip out, which is not ideal. But yeah, as you come out here then, we did have the scaffolding up to replace all the pipe work and repaint, even though it looks like we need to do a little bit more repainting again. But we had to drop the scaffolding to finish the back garden, basically. So now we've got this tower here just to finish off some of the pipe work. We had to renew the pipe work, which has all been renewed now, which is good. This is the back garden. So we've got chip-ins, we've got patio slabs. As we come down here, we've got astroturf, chip-ins again, and patio slabs and fencing. We're going to put a cover on the fencing from behind as well, so it's like a bit of privacy. What we put this black stuff on. It's fallen down there, which is not ideal, but a lovely little space for whoever's going to buy this property. Now, I had a bit of an issue with that garage. So when I bought the property, the landlord had actually sold one side of that for one side of that garage for, I think it was £1,900. So I own one side and someone else owns the other side. The initial plan when I was going to buy it was to knock it down and put parking there, but didn't work because they've got one side. So we've kind of left it as it is. We made a storage area in here, which obviously we need to finish off with the plumbing and box it all in. This property was a great deal. It's basically done now, which is awesome. I'm looking forward to getting it on the market. Pretty lucky with this property. There wasn't really many things that went wrong with it, so to speak. What I think what's happened with it was we were hoping to complete it earlier, but some things happen, and renovations typically always end up going a little bit over when you are looking at doing, you know, big developments like this. Obviously, 3-story building. I'm going to take you upstairs shortly now, but when you get into property, you think that you're going to be in and out of somewhere like this in, you know, 8 to 10 weeks or 12 weeks. Sometimes it does go over when you've got a lot of projects going on. So yeah, we're growing as a team now and looking forward to continuing to grow. So yeah, into this bedroom here, smaller bedroom of the three. Now, we actually had to pinch some room for the bathroom because when we bought the property, or when I bought the property, it was just a shower in there. So we obviously wanted to add a bathroom in there, and the door into this bedroom was actually where you're standing there. So we've actually made it a lot bigger by putting the door frame further back, more space to come in, but we've also pinched a bit of room for the bathroom too. So obviously we're going to have bed here, TV on the wall there if needed, and maybe a chest of drawers or something around that side. But yeah, a nice, well, study or small bedroom for the buyer. Into the bathroom here, we've plied the floor because you needed to fix, well, we're going to be fixing the toilet and the basin here, and also the flooring needs to go down, so we wanted to have a better surface when we were doing our flooring. In here, again, full tile, well, half tile around and around the enclosure. So I always try and tile the properties that I'm going to sell typically. I just think it gives a better feel for the property. Again, all depends on who the buyer is going to be, and also maybe the tenant back end. If you're going for someone who, or a lower end property, maybe you don't have to tile. But at the end, with the price of tiling now, typically can be around the same as what Renovation boards can be anyway. So I like tiling as well. Yeah, so this is the main bathroom. Obviously, when we bought this property, it had a shower there, and it had in the dining area, that was where the other bathroom was, but obviously we wanted the other bathroom to be upstairs here. This is the second bedroom. So again, a much better size, new electrics throughout, new plumbing, new skirts, architraves, doors. So a lovely size bedroom in here. Bedroom in here. We added an ensuite in this room. So again, the master bedroom, bed there, everything new. Built this stud partition, got a small walk-in wardrobe in there, which is going to be nice, and then we've got the main ensuite in there. Like I've said in previous videos, if we can add an ensuite into a property, that we will, but sometimes it's, you know, you don't typically need to be doing that. Obviously with this one we're going to be selling it, so we wanted to add the most amount of value that we could. But yeah, in general, this has been a great project. Looking forward to seeing the back of it now and getting it on the market. So guys, that is today wrapped up. We've been around 4 properties. I hope you had value from this video. If you did, please make sure to like, subscribe and comment below if you can. Or any questions that you have for me, just make sure to direct message me on Instagram at JordanLJones10. But if not, I shall see you on the next one.